welcome once again. Lovely to see you. The theme is do we choose everything, and particularly our birth. And of course the Course in Miracles is really trying to teach us that we're responsible for the whole dream, everything. Choosing our parents, choosing our birth, choosing even the way we are born. It's all set up as a script. I mean, the Course says the script is written, but that implies that there's a past, but in truth there is no past, so the script is written now, in the present. It's all happening now. But there's a part of our mind that's choosing all of this. So I'm going to spend more time, or you're going to spend more time actually getting in touch with the core beliefs that are running your lives, particularly that come from birth. Because I believe that birth is the, you could say, the experience through which we live the rest of our life, quite literally. It's such a powerful experience. I'll go into that in more detail later. I'd like to deepen into what we're doing, because I think this really is one of the most important aspects of the undoing work, is getting in touch with our core beliefs, which I believe come mainly from our entry into this world, our experience of coming into the world. Of course we add things as we get older, but at the moment of birth, well, perhaps I'll just read one quote. This is actually from Kenneth Wapnick. But Ken says, until the moment of birth, the fetus, that's the little baby, has little or no awareness of itself as a separate being. Totally held inside our mother's womb. So we don't really have this sense of being separate from her, feel like one with her. It does not desire because its basic physiological needs are instantly met through the cord, through the touch, basically totally held. All its nutrition comes through the blood. The baby doesn't have to ask for it or go and, cut vegetables or anything. It's all supplied. In many respects, life in the womb reflects the state of paradise or heaven and the principle of abundance. In a state without lack, there can be no sense of separation or otherness. So in a way, we feel like one with Mother, and this is the closest to heaven that we can experience this lifetime or in a body. At birth, all this is changed. The infant is suddenly expelled from its paradise into a world of separation, a world of bodies. For the first time it becomes painfully aware of having needs which are not instantly met, and sometimes not met at all. This traumatic experience, which guilt encompasses, leaves us feeling vulnerable and inadequate to meet our own needs. This terror remains with us on some level throughout our life. So even Ken got how important this first impression can take. The real source of birth trauma, however, lies in its reminder of the original separation from God, which is the root of all guilt and fear. So in a sense, the mind or the incoming spirit already has this sin, guilt and fear of separating from God, which is totally unbearable, so we forget that we've done that separating from God, and then make a world of bodies as a second level of hiding, and forget that we've done that. So we come in there, we're inside our mother's womb, totally unaware of really what's happened or where we come from. And then to make that separation real, we get expelled into this world of separation, and this sin, guilt and fear literally gets stamped into the cellular structure of the body, I believe. So, but we can heal it. But it is you could say the source of the main structure of your personality, our personality. Our core beliefs are, Douglas's core beliefs are Douglas. Right? And my whole life revolves around the decisions that I've made about this separated self, most of which came from around birth. So it's very important that we can look at these. And as I said earlier, because it's all set up never to look at them. So we have this experience when our brains are not fully formed. We have no memory that we've made these decisions. And they become more and more unconscious or denied or dissociated from. And then we live our life thinking this is real and running from our core beliefs and keep confirming our core beliefs. Like you were saying earlier, Nils, you kept, proving that your core beliefs were right. Like we choose partners, we choose friends to affirm, that you're not included or you're not loved or whatever core belief that you have running. For many years it has been believed, especially in the medical profession, that babies are not having an experience. That they don't feel. I personally believe that is when we are most having an experience. This is before we have shut down. This is why we've come out of a totally safe environment, almost totally. I mean, the mother could be in some sort of stress, could have some medication, drugs, whatever, but the closest to heaven. And so the most open. So when we're born, we are the most feeling that we will ever feel this lifetime. And we feel these experiences so intensely. And when a baby is crying and screaming after birth, it's considered, this is a healthy baby. This is not just a healthy baby. This is a baby in excruciating pain. We don't howl and scream when we're happy. Give me a breath. Sounds like a judgment to the medical profession, but that's what's being believed.
And if the baby didn't scream, they kick them in the back to make them scream.
Exactly.
So they could use their lungs. That's how they were thinking.
Exactly.
That's very violent.
And the ego loves this. This is part of the ego script. We want it to be this way. It's all a setup. This is actually a quote from the Course. Children are born into the world, through pain and in pain. That's in chapter 13. As we come into the world, our body is hurting our mother. Our head is hurting our mother, and is itself in pain. So when we're pushing, probably the head hurts. It's a lot of pressure, and you're really hurting the mother. Mothers scream at birth. It could be said that birth is when the unholy trinity of sin, guilt and fear quite literally gets stamped into the body, as I said earlier. The ego's purpose of being in a body is to hide and remain mindless of the original choice for separation. Being an innocent victim of a cruel world serves this purpose very well. What better way to affirm we are an innocent victim than to be born totally helpless and at the mercy of others? The human baby is more helpless than any other animal. It's a setup. We're totally helpless. We can't walk, we can't speak. We actually can't even breathe until we're out. We're totally helpless. We cannot feed ourselves. We are at the mercy of others. So it's a setup. I mean, our parents and birth attendants would have to be perfect to give us the kind of birth that we really want to be happy. I was saying to Philippa yesterday, talking about Shanti's upcoming birth, because she's also been born in water. I had the privilege of being at a water birth in Italy 20 years ago, ex-girlfriend of mine. And Maria, the mother, she was leaning, imagine the tub is like this, and she's leaning on the side. And her partner, Guido, is behind her, receiving the baby this way, not this way, this way. And so he receives the baby like this and holds it underwater for about a minute to make the transition even more gentle. And then Naria, the baby, is lifted out of the water, and this is exactly how she breathed, like no sound, no screaming, no crying, but I like this breath, I'll take more. Right. And I went to, and she was of course put on Maria's breast, and the lighting was very dim, very low. And I went to visit her about 2 or 3 years ago, and Naria is now 18. Apart from guys, she looks like a model. She's unbelievably beautiful, but that's kind of nothing to do with her birth. But her presence, I don't think I've ever met an 18-year-old with so much presence. And Naria is kind of like guiding her parents. No, Mum, this is a loving way to see this. Or Guido, this is a loving way to see it. It was wonderful to watch her. And she had this perfect birth. But she chose it. She chose all of it.
Can I ask something? Because when we're doing the deepening, I had this feeling that, yes, my ego has chosen this script to...
Well, no, your ego hasn't chosen it. Your decision maker has chosen it.
Yeah, but this is me. Yeah, but to keep me in this victim state or this separation state. But I also feel like at some point, maybe on a higher level, spirit, when I was spirit or love or something, I chose to go down here and be a body and connect with my ego in that sense, and I chose this because of the healing I could experience through this pain, this suffering. So in a way, spirit outsmarts ego in that way, because it's just on a higher level. I chose from love that I need to go down here and be part of this family, and like you said with this girl, teach her parents maybe, or heal something inside. And I feel that very strongly, that there's a higher meaning of something. So it's not just the ego or the observer, or what you call it, the decision maker making the wrong decision or something. Is that...
Yeah, I mean, you could say the decision maker can choose the right mind or the wrong mind at any time, right? And it could be choosing a right-minded decision to come into a body, to heal, or to serve. And when we're here, we still have the two choices. We might have that choice and then forget that we made it. We don't know. So we're always in that decision-making place, even when we're not in a body. Originally, the reason for being in a body is to hide. That's the ego's purpose. And the Holy Spirit, the right-minded person, hi.
I feel like I made the higher spirit choice first, and then further down.
If we don't know where we are on our journey, personally, I think if you're in this room open to something like A Course in Miracles and even rebirthing, that we're not beginners, that we may have spent many lifetimes on this awakening journey. And we have, the ego would like to say, we're well up on the ladder, and then we have no idea. And I think Jesus had his last lesson in that lifetime, and so he doesn't need to come in a body anymore. He can teach from not in a body, as we so clearly see. He can come through other bodies. But yeah, I totally resonate with what you're saying.